Hello Chappets, how you doing? Yeah, you know me, you know what I like. And you know that I like dungeon crawling games. And that was kind of like my gateway into bigger, better board gaming, is the dungeon crawling genre. I liked having a group of friends together, we'd all go into a dungeon or something and then we'd kill monsters left, right and centre, we'd get money, we'd level up, we'd buy equipment which would make us stronger, and we'd have this big story as like a giant arc. I also liked the aspect of being the actual villain of the piece and posing these obstacles in the way of the heroes and see them triumph. It was really satisfying. But one thing that really intrigued me was a game that came out, which was a kind of dungeon crawling game called Andor. That's what it's called in French. In English it's called Legend of Andor, actually. And this was a cooperative kind of dungeon crawl adventure game. And it really intrigued me because a cooperative meant that there was no villain player. It was the players all playing together against the board, or the board game itself, all the rules, the mechanisms. And it really got me thinking, could that be a good game? Especially because, you know, being displaced from where I lived originally and not having my friends to play with all the time. Would it be a good game to play on my own as a solo game? And would it be a good game to play with the family? One of the great things you'll find about the game when you open the box is that it has its own controller. Yes, this game is written much like a computer game. So I'm not going to really go into all the rules because the game explains itself as you play it. It tells you at the beginning on your first mission what things you need to set up, and then it tells you how to move around the board. Then it tells you how to search, then it tells you how to fight, then it tells you how to fight in teams, then it tells you, and you learn the game as you play the adventures. Another great thing that you won't find in the box is one of these fantastic inserts from Robert Searing. But that's beside the point. In the game, 2 to 4 players will be taking on the kind of generic roles that you'll find in Lord of the Rings. You'll have your archer, you'll have your warrior, you'll have your wizard, and you'll have your dwarf. And each one of these comes with its own character card, and each of them has a slight different power. The character cards themselves are very simple to understand. You have your points of force, which is your strength. So you use that when you fight. You have your volonté, which is your willpower, which is kind of like your life points. When you reach 0, you're either knocked unconscious or eliminated from the game depending on the scenario. Again, depending on how much willpower you have will determine how many dice you roll in an attack. The character cards have spaces for the amount of different equipment that you can have. You can buy a shield or a falcon, you can also buy a magic potion, or you can carry rune stones, and also wear a helmet. And if you're fed up of playing hairy-faced dwarfs, you can turn the card over and play a non-hairy-faced dwarf. As with most games of this kind of ilk, each character has its own special ability, and they're all kind of very weak abilities. But they're not too bad all the same. They are thematic. For example, the warrior, when he drinks from the well, instead of recuperating 3 will points, it recuperates 5. Woo! That's super, that. The archer has the special ability to attack in spaces adjacent, so they don't have to be in the actual space of the creature that they're attacking. Also, when they attack, they roll 1 dice at a time, and they stop on the result that they wish to use as their attack, which is, yeah, thematic. The wizard, when he attacks, he rolls 1 dice all the time. As you can see, each type of willpower that he has, he only rolls 1 dice, whereas the others, they'll have a majority of dice. The more willpower, the more dice. But the wizard, he can then roll his dice and then turn it over 180 degrees. So if you've rolled a 1, you get a 6. And if you roll a 6, you've got a 6, so you're always going to be good. And then there's the dwarf. He goes shopping. When he goes shopping in a cave, which is one particular space on the board, he will be able to buy 1 point of force, 1 strength, for 1 gold coin instead of 2, which all the other characters have to pay. So, yeah, the special abilities are okay, I suppose. Once you've chosen your character, it's a case of getting out the rulebook. And this is it. That's it. 4 pages. Simple, huh? It tells you a little bit of background story, and then it tells you how to set up your character card, it tells you how to set up the board, and then it tells you everything that you need to know about your character board in very good detail, and then it goes on to how to play the game. It starts with movement and exploring. Movement is very, very simple. It's just a case of moving from your space to an adjacent space. As long as there's not a wall in the way or a big streamy river running through the 2 spaces, then you're fine to move there. And for every space that you move, you advance your little token along this time track. This is the hours that are in the day. When you finish moving as far as you wish to move, you end your turn and the turn passes to the next player. They then move as many spaces as they wish to move and advance their little piece across the time track. When they finish moving, it's your turn, and back and forth until you get to the end of the day. In each day, there are 10 hours. 7 of those hours are normal hours, like your normal working day, for example. Okay, but you can do overtime, but every time you do an hour over, you will lose 2 points of willpower. And when it comes to your turn and you don't wish to spend any more hours, you say, well, I'm going to go to bed. And you take your piece off the time track. And if you're the first player, you put it on the cockerel, which means that you're going to be the first player on the next round. Now, moving is not the only action that will advance the time and make the day go by really quickly. There's another action that you can do. You could pass. And if you pass, you just have to move your token an hour forward. But there is a more important action than that. Fighting. Yes, when you have combat, that will cost you an action, an hour to go by. But unlike most games where you can either do a movement and an attack, or an attack and a movement, or 2 movements, you only get 1 action. So you can either attack or you can move. Attacking is quite easy on your turn. If you're in the same space as a monster, you can attack. If you're not in the same space, you can't attack, unless you are the archer. So let's say my warrior here is next to this scroll. Now each monster has its own strengths. It's all displayed on the bottom of the board. So this tiny little scroll, he has a strength of 2, you'd mark with the cube, and he has a willpower of 4. As it's shown there, the little picture. Okay, the big troll there, as you can see, he has a strength of 14, and he has a will of 12. Then what you do is you do your attack. So my character has 3 blue dice and a strength of 3. I roll my 3 dice. I guard the highest result, which is a 6. So 6 plus 3 equals 9. The player to my left would take the 2 red dice and roll them. Again, they would take the highest result and add it to the 2, and that would be his attack. So 2 plus 1 would be 3, technically. But luckily, I've rolled a double. Any doubles you roll for the monster, not the hero, they add together. So in this case, this is 2, which is plus 2, which is not too bad. So our monster attacked with 4, and we've attacked with 9. You do the math, which is 9 minus 4, which equals 5. So our creature loses 5 health. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, he's dead. And then he goes into this bin space here. And that means that this narrator will move 1 space along this story track. Now, before I move on to the wonderful narrator system that's in the game, I want to elaborate a bit more on the combat, because it's an integral part of the game. Now, it is just rolling dice, and the luck of the dice can alter the combat quite considerably. But you can mitigate this by having more willpower, which will give you more dice to roll, and having higher strength, which will give you a higher base number to base your attack on. Again, players can attack together, so 2 or more could attack the same monster and add their attack values together, which will kill monsters quite easily, especially the weak ones. This will obviously drain an hour of time from each player involved, and it will also move the narrator because the monster will go to the hell of moving the narrator. But this is an easy way to get more willpower and gold is used to buy more strength. So you have to evaluate every attack you do. Is it worth killing the monster for willpower and gold? Or is it best letting them be so the narrator doesn't move? The good news about this all is the monsters can never gang up on the heroes. You can only have 1 monster per space, and I'll explain why at night. Once all players have exhausted all their actions and gone to bed, that's when the game comes alive. At the bottom of the wake up track here, you'll see that these are the order of which the board will activate. The first thing is an event card. So you'll take an event card, and these normally have like a bit of flavored text, and they will either add more monsters to the board, add more objects to the board, you know, like potions that fall from the sky, whatever, or they will give you will points or make you lose will points. There'd be a random lot of events in there. Afterwards, the monsters activate, and they activate in the order that they're depicted. So at first, we will have all the gores. All the gores will activate on the board, and they'll activate in numerical order. So here we have a gore on 26 and gore on 27. Gore 26 will move first, and he will follow the arrow, and all arrows lead to home. Yes, most of the missions will have you trying to protect the castle, but there'll be other things as well. So number 26 will move before 27, so number 26 moves to there. And as I said, only 1 monster can be in a space, so what will happen in monster number 27? Well, he jumps over. Monster in 25 now. So big clumps of monsters will arrive a lot more quicker than single monsters on their own. After the gores, it's the scrolls. Trying to read the words here. And again, they'll activate in number order. So this number 3 scroll will move before this number 28 scroll moves. And then you continue. You have these dog-like creatures which move twice, and then the trolls. And then afterwards we have these wells. Any wells which have been drunken from will be replenished, so heroes can then drink from again the next day. And then finally, the narrator, you will move to the next space. And if it's a card that needs to be read, you read the card. And then the heroes will activate. The heart of the game lies in this deck of legend cards. There's 5 stories in here. There's also number 6 as well, which you can write your own story to. Each legend will have a certain amount of cards, and they'll be lettered from A to N, and they'll also maybe have some other cards which will come into play during the course of the game. When you start your game, your narrator will be on the letter A, so therefore you'll have to read the cards lettered A. Now these will give you the background story. They will also give you an objective. They will also point out anything on the board that might be important, like maybe there's a particular space where a certain herb grows, or maybe there's 10 spaces where 10 gores are found. And as you play the game and you kill monsters or you sleep and during the night the narrator moves, that's when you look out for other letters which appear. So when a narrator falls onto that letter, you stop immediately and you read that card, and that card will give you more story. It may give you some more objectives, it may give you some more monsters, or it may give you like a secret that you never knew before you started playing the game. And then finally, when the narrator falls on the letter N, you take the N card and you see if you've met your objectives or not, and then you read the flavor text to say you've won or you've lost. And each of these legends, stories, scenarios are different. Most of them will have you saving the castle and stopping it being invaded, but they will have other things that you can do. You may have your own secret objective. You may have to find some treasure. You may have to rescue villagers. You may have to take out a certain big boss. You may have to collect medicine from a wizard. There are lots of different possibilities, and some of these components you only ever use in one scenario. And there's even a second map on the back of the board for the last mission. So there is quite a bit of replayability, but at the same time, this is a puzzle game. And once you figured out how the puzzle works, it is quite easy to replicate those events and finish the game with a success. So to sum up, Legend of Andor is a board game that every puzzle solving, cooperative playing adventurer should invest in. You will get your pound of flesh out of this game. Let's start from the top. The art is beautiful. It's by Michael Menzel, who is the designer of the game. It is overflowing on every piece of tile, every character on the board. Excellent, 5-star. Then we go into the components. The components are pretty good. I mean, yes, it is a cardboard standee, and a mini would have been cool, but they work for what they are. Again, these little plastic bases I like because they bend really easy, so you can slip the standee in simply. Dice and the tokens are okay-ish. They serve their purpose, but you know, they would have been nicer. You got these nice big wooden ones, but you got these small little wooden ones, which I don't know. The quality of the cardboard is very good, very sturdy, and as you can see, I have these inserts from Rob Searing. I would probably definitely invest in something like this because the game just comes with some baggies and you have to put the pieces in the baggies. The rules are extremely well written. As you saw, a 4-page rule book where you learn the game as you read the rules, so you can play and you can read the rules at the same time. It's phenomenal. More games should do this, you know, to teach you the game, to show you what to do, and then bang, you know how to play the game. It does come with a reference manual as well, which covers over little things like what each token is, which is very important, and also if you get into problems with the definition of what a movement is or whatever. The gameplay is really good. It is cooperative and it will fall into that hole of an alpha player coming along and telling everyone what to do, unfortunately. But you can play this game solo, so you won't have the alpha problem. But yeah, as a cooperative game, it is fun. It is a great puzzle. But as I said, once you've figured out how the answer for the riddle, you know the answer for the riddle next time you hear it. Again, there is some replayability in the missions that you do know how to do because the event cards are different, the results of the dice will be different, and there is also a mission, there's also a story where the objective at the end of the game is different. Although there isn't the infinite replayability, you can buy expansions for this game. There's quite a few of them out there, and they will each add new rules and new mechanisms and new things which I've seen are really, really good. One of the reasons I don't have any expansions with this game is because my version's French, and then obviously I have to translate it, and it takes a bit. This game is very text heavy, and it takes me a while to get into because it is in another language. But if it was in my own language, I'd probably get them, no doubt. And again, I'll wait until my daughter gets older and then probably buy them because then she can read me the story and tell me the rules. So my overall score would be an 8.5 out of 10 because it is a really good game. It does have a few little flaws, but you know, they're things that can be worked on hopefully for another game in the future. So if you've enjoyed this video, give it a like, share it. Also, you can go to my new website, boardgameseverybodyshould.com, which I tried to get .com, but it didn't want to know. Go there and check out what other stuff I'm up to. Check out my blog there. And I'll finish by saying that you don't have to own every game. Just own some really great ones.
I can't even say the word. I'm trying to decide what I want to draw here. Yeah, Frankenstein. I know what the game is. It's just look at that question again.
Yeah, the question
what
is
am I excited about? Yep. All right.
Excited.
So, how do I draw this with not giving it away because it'd be really, really obvious?
We need a win here, so be nice.
Play nice, children.
We don't want any obscure crap.
All right. You ready? You ready? I'm going really simple here.
Oh, wow, he's quick too. Okay. Oh my goodness. He has a couple lines